Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be doing a 12 aircraft unboxing today. I'm pretty excited about this one because as I said we have 12 aircraft but only 3 airlines. We have 4 Icelandair aircraft, we have 4 Southwest aircraft and we have 4 Spirit aircraft. So it's a weirdly kind of symmetrical unboxing today. But like usual today I'm going to go through the aircraft we are going to be unboxing and then I will get to the actual unboxing. So I'm just currently deciding which airline we should start with, and I think we're going to start with Southwest. Going from the least exciting to the most exciting, the first Southwest model we have to unbox today is this one. This is the new NG 737 MAX 8. This is the regular Heart livery. This is the aircraft you will see everywhere. I do already have 2 MAX 8s in the Heart livery, but I decided to get another one just because I believe this is NG's first release of the regular Heart 737 MAX 8. The other ones I have are Gemini Jets models, so this will be a pretty cool one to see. And then this one will be the last of the regular livery aircraft because all the other Southwest aircraft we have feature special liveries. Next one here we have the pink Southwest 737 MAX 8. This one is actually a fictional livery. This doesn't exist in real life, but despite not existing in real life, I decided to get it just because it looks quite cool and it's going to look really cool next to the other kind of colors of the Southwest livery we have with the desert gold color scheme MAX 8 and the Canyon Blue MAX 8 as well. Then following that one we have another one of our state liveries we have, and this I believe is the last one we need. We have the New Mexico 737-800. As I said, we have a lot of state liveries in my collection and I believe that this is the last state livery we need to complete the set. Now by completing the set I don't mean this is going to be the last state livery we're going to be unboxing, because at the moment Southwest are repainting a lot of their state liveries onto the Dash 800. I still don't have the New Mexico one color scheme on the 737-700, but I believe that has been repainted now and replaced with this aircraft, the 737-800. I believe Southwest are doing this, repainting all their liveries onto the 800s in preparation for retiring a lot of their Dash 700s. But moving on to the last Southwest aircraft, and this by far is the one I'm looking forward to the most, we have the new Hawaiian livery on the Southwest 737 MAX 8. Doesn't this livery just look absolutely incredible? This livery isn't strictly speaking one of the state liveries. While it is a state livery that represents Hawaii, I don't believe that it is actually a Hawaii One livery in the sense that all the other liveries are. The reason why Southwest don't have a state livery for every single state in America is because Southwest only paints state liveries of states where they have a hub. So for example, we have a Maryland One color scheme because they have their hub in Baltimore. We have a Lone Star One or Texas One color scheme because they have a hub in Dallas and Houston and different places like that. But the reason we have this livery is because a couple years ago Southwest launched service for the first time into the state of Hawaii, and this livery is to kind of celebrate their reception into Hawaii. So currently, a couple years down the road from when Southwest started flights to Hawaii, they are releasing this livery as a way of saying thank you to the people and the staff of Hawaii that have made Southwest so popular and successful in the state of Hawaii. Next up, moving on to Spirit. Now currently I have 4 Spirit aircraft in my collection. I have 2 A321s, I have an A320 and an A320neo, and so by adding 4 aircraft into my collection I'm now doubling my size of my Spirit fleet, and on top of that we will now have every single aircraft in the Spirit's fleet, which is pretty cool. So starting off with an aircraft we currently don't have, we have the Spirit Airbus A319. This is of course the smallest aircraft in the Spirit's fleet. These will be retired in the near future, but still it's pretty cool to have this aircraft. We then have the Airbus A320, of course similar to the A319, it's just a slightly longer version of the A319, and of course this is the original A320, but it's still going to make a great addition to the collection. We then have the aircraft that Spirits have the most of. We have the Airbus A320neo. Again, I have an A320neo and a regular A320 already in my collection, but another one isn't going to hurt, especially considering that this aircraft is the aircraft that Spirit have the most of in their fleet. And then last but not least, we have the newest aircraft into the Spirit's fleet. We have their brand new Airbus A321neo. It's a slightly different shade of box, which is interesting from NG. This one is slightly more orangish, but it is what it is. It's still going to be a very cool aircraft to unbox. And then moving on to Icelandair now, we have my first bunch of aircraft in the new Icelandair colors. A lot of airlines seem to be going down this route of having kind of the same livery but just in different colors. Condor, of course, are doing this with all their different colors, and Icelandair are as well. So these 4 aircraft are the same type of aircraft, they're just in their different colors. So we have the Icelandair 737 MAX 9 here. This one, of course, is in the blue color scheme. We then have the dark green color scheme here. So again, it's the exact same livery, it's just a different color on the tail there. So we have the dark green. We then have the light green color scheme here. So again, exactly the same livery, just light green on the tail. And then last but not least, we also have the pink 737 MAX with the pink on the tail. And so starting off today's unboxing with this Southwest Boeing 737 MAX 8. Southwest now have more of these MAX 8 aircraft than their original NG-800 variants of the Boeing 737. The MAX 8 truly is the future of the Southwest fleet. They have started to retire some of their -700s. However, of course, Southwest have so many of them that it's going to take years before they're all gone, and I don't think a set retirement date has been set for the -700s, and they'll keep the -800s on for quite a while in the future, I believe. And so here we have the MAX 8 in the Heart livery, and because they're basically the same aircraft just in a different color, I'm also going to be unboxing the pink 737 MAX 8 here. And so here is the pink Southwest 737 MAX 8. While this livery seems absurd, I know that Delta, for example, in the past have had a pink livery which has gone to help fight the cause against breast cancer. And as well as that, the registration of this aircraft is November 8888 Quebec, which is actually the 1000th 737 that Southwest have received into their fleet. So while this aircraft doesn't actually exist in real life, I think it's a pretty cool concept. But taking a look at this Heart livery 737 MAX 8, starting off at the front here, we have the nose of the 737 there. Of course, we have the extended nose wheel on the MAX variants of the 737. We have the L1 door. We have the Southwest titles. I remember when this new livery first came out, a lot of people were referring to this new livery as the Walmart livery, as the font kind of resembles Walmart, but that nickname sort of wore off, I think, a bit. Then we have the engines here with Southwest.com. We have the winglets there on the MAX 8, the more triangular winglets. We have the Wi-Fi box, and of course the Southwest tail there. Overall, you can never have too many of the Heart livery in your collection, as these aircraft are literally plaguing the US. In a good way, of course, but this aircraft looks really good. Next up, we have the Southwest Boeing 737-800 in the New Mexico 1 color scheme. Again, this is one of the last state liveries I need to complete my state livery collection. So with that, we're going to go ahead and open up this box here. And here we have the aircraft. I think it looks really nice. Of course, the fuselage is mainly yellow. Of course, it's representing the New Mexico flag. The flag of New Mexico was adopted in 1925, so 99 years ago, and it's a pretty simple flag. This symbol here is known as the Zaya sun. Of course, it's kind of resembling the sun with 4 sort of rays coming off of the sun. They resemble quite a few things, and they can mean a lot of different things as well. They can mean the 4 seasons of the year, winter, spring, summer and autumn. They can also mean the 4 cardinal directions, north, south, east and west, and there are many different ways in which they represent different things. But overall, I think this livery looks pretty cool, and it's going to look really good when we can eventually have a lineup of different state livery 737-800s. And last but not least, for Southwest, we have this 737 MAX 8 in this Hawaiian livery. Now, I've been dodging saying the name of this livery as I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it. I would guess it's Imau, the Imau One color scheme, but I'm not really too sure. This livery was painted onto this aircraft to celebrate the operation of Southwest in Hawaii. A few years ago, Southwest begun flights to Hawaii, and their operations there have been a huge success. So in response to that success, Southwest have painted one of their 737 MAX 8s into this color scheme. It's some native Hawaiian art, and I think it looks really cool with the different tones of colors going from blue all the way to yellow at the end. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead now and open up the model. And here we have the beautiful Imau One 737 MAX 8. So starting off at the front of the aircraft, we have the blue nose of the aircraft with the L1 door and these floral patterns. The patterns sort of become more rigid as we go back. We got some turtles at the back here, but then of course it goes from blue into this purple and then this red, and then of course we get these turtles, the Wi-Fi box, and then it goes into this yellow color here with of course the regular Southwest colors on the tail. And overall I think this livery just looks so cool, so vibrant, and it's going to look really good in some Baltimore updates. Next, moving on to Spirit. Now because all these aircraft kind of look the same, I'm going to just unbox them and have them all in a row here. So starting off with the Airbus A319. Here we have the A319, the baby bus as it's called. Then next up here we have the A320. We then have the A320neo. And then last but not least we have the A321neo. So there's been quite a lot in the news lately regarding Spirit and also JetBlue. So it's no secret at this point that JetBlue tried to purchase Spirit. However, the US government denied that purchase. They said that they couldn't merge into one new airline. The reason for that is because, of course, if all these airlines start merging, that means there's less competition, and when there's less competition, that means that prices go up. So I completely understand why the US government did that. However, I do kind of feel a little bit bad for JetBlue. JetBlue are just trying to do what all the other airlines have done in the past. US Airways and American merging to make a new airline, Northwest and Delta merging, United and Continental merging, and more recently Alaska and Virgin America. I do kind of feel a bit bad that the US government decided to stop with JetBlue because of course they're just trying to do what all these other airlines have done in the past. And because the US government denied this purchase, that meant that JetBlue had to restructure their airline a little bit, and they had to pull out of many different cities, one of those cities being Baltimore. The Spirit fleet would have joined perfectly with JetBlue. Of course, both JetBlue and Spirit are almost all Airbus operators. Of course, JetBlue do have a few Embraers still, but they will be retired and replaced with the A220. Spirit currently have 17 of the A319s. Those will be retired next year in 2025. However, they then have 64 of the A320s. They have 82 of the A320neos with 39 orders. They then have 30 A321s. They have 8 of the brand new A321neos with 60 orders, and unfortunately their A319neo orders were cancelled and replaced with more of the A321neos, which is kind of a shame. Spirits were originally going to be the launch customer of the Airbus A319neo, and even with that Spirit order, the A319neo drastically undersold. Hardly anyone has bought it. I think there is only one airline left with orders for the A319neo, and that is a Chinese airline. I think as all of these aircraft pretty much look the same, we're just going to be taking a look at one aircraft today, and I think we're going to take a look at Spirit's newest aircraft, the Airbus A321neo. So taking a look at Spirit's brand new aircraft, the Airbus A321neo, here at the front we have the mascara, which I think is actually absent from the A320neos, which is interesting. Of course, the mascara is quite a modern Airbus feature commonly used on the A350 and these A321neos. We have the L1 door there. We have the Spirit titles here. We have Spirit.com on the engines, the yellow winglets with Howdy on the other side, of course, and then of course the yellow fuselage with the Spirit logo on the tail again. Overall, I think these aircraft look really cool. They're going to make great additions to my collection and even greater additions to my Baltimore updates in the future. And last but not least, we have these Icelandair Boeing 737 MAX 9s. Just like the Spirit aircraft, because these all pretty much look the same, they're just different colors. I'm going to be unboxing all of them. So here we have the blue Icelandair 737 MAX 9. We then have the dark green livery on the 737 MAX 9. We then have the light green 737 MAX 9. And last but not least, because I think this is probably my personal favorite out of the bunch, we have the pink livery on the 737 MAX 9s. So Icelandair are going through a process at the moment of renewing their fleet. Of course, they've operated the Boeing 757 and 767 for a very long time now. They are starting to age, and so they are looking for a replacement. These 737 MAXs weren't really a replacement to those aircraft, they were more an addition to the Icelandair fleet, as they currently haven't retired many of their 757s. They still have a large 757 fleet in service at the moment. However, over the next decade, they are going to be looking at retiring them, and they have also announced their replacement, and it is not the 737 MAX, it is actually the A321. Out of the MAX aircraft, they currently have 4 of the 737 MAX 9s. We have all 4 with us today, but they also have 16 of the 737 MAX 8s. With the exception of the initial release of the new livery 737 MAX 8s by Gemini Jets, NG haven't released any of the Icelandair MAX 8s yet. Unlike the 737 MAX 9, where they only have 4 of the aircraft, they have 16 MAX 8s, as I mentioned, so having all 16 variants released probably wouldn't be the best of ideas, but it would be cool to get maybe 3 or 4 different liveries released so we can have some variation between the aircraft in different updates. While Icelandair themselves haven't had any problems with their MAX aircraft, due to recent events with the MAX in 2020, Icelandair pulled back on their orders for the 737 MAX. They reduced the order amount, so they're not getting as many as they initially planned, and now they have announced that they will be, of course, getting the A321 as well. They've ordered 7 of the A321 LRs and then 13 of the A321 XLRs. I'm not quite sure on the range of the A321 XLR. I believe it is slightly superior to the 757, but of course it doesn't fly as far as the 767. I don't think the 767 in Icelandair's fleet was really there for the range anyway. I think it was more there for the higher capacity routes like London, Paris, New York and Boston. There's only one Icelandair route that I can think of that was really range restricted, and that was San Francisco. I don't believe Icelandair fly to San Francisco anymore, but they used to fly there, and it was just out of the 757's range, but it was in the 767's range, so the 767 was the only aircraft Icelandair could send to San Francisco. But of course they had to cancel that just because it wasn't very viable, considering Icelandair don't have that many of the Boeing 767, and so sending it every day to San Francisco when it could be flying to New York or Boston or some of these high demand destinations instead, I don't think it was very viable to have that service running. I'm actually going to be flying Icelandair this summer. I'm going to be flying from London Heathrow to Keflavik, Keflavik to Baltimore, then I'm going to be flying from Seattle to Keflavik, and then Keflavik back to London Heathrow. I believe my Keflavik to Baltimore flight will be on a MAX 8, but apart from that I'm on 757 200s and 300s, which I'm okay with. Of course, while I do want to fly on Icelandair's 737 MAX aircraft, I want to make the most of the Boeing 757s while we still have them. But taking a look at their livery now, when you take away the blue, it is essentially just a white fuselage. We have the Icelandair titles in the middle here in a very large font. We have the blue engines, the blue winglets, and of course the blue tail with that stripe of color. I think the stripe of color does add a lot to these liveries. I think it looks really cool, and it's going to be really cool to see some releases of the MAX 8 eventually, because Icelandair primarily fly the MAX 8 into Baltimore, I believe, and then Dulles is essentially whatever. Sometimes it's the MAX 8, sometimes the MAX 9, sometimes the 757, and sometimes even the 767. Overall, I think this unboxing turned out really, really good. I'm happy with all of these aircraft, and they do look really good as well. I do have to admit, I do love the color that Spirit bring to an airport. While their livery isn't exactly the most appealing to many, I do actually love the color it brings to an airport, similar to Southwest as well, especially with all of their special liveries. They just look so colorful, and the tails of these new Icelandair aircraft look really good as well. I'm just happy with all of these aircraft, and they're all gonna look so good in my collection. I know I say that almost after every model I unbox, but all of these aircraft are just absolutely incredible. I absolutely love them. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.